Mr. Gavaskar, thank you so much, sir, for joining us again here on NDTV. A big test match coming up. Now, I remember when Virat injured his shoulder in Ranchi, you had told us that he should come out to bat only if it's absolutely required. Now that there is perhaps a possibility that Virat might have to sit out of the Dharamshala test, if he does sit out, how much will that change or affect the complexion of the entire match, according to you?
Well, if you actually have a look at the previous 3 test matches, Virat hasn't really contributed anything with the bat. But as a leader, he's been there, and as a leader, he's shepherded the team together. So the fact that he has not been contributing with the bat has been taken care of by the likes of KL Rahul, Vijay at the top of the order, Cheteshwar Pujara, Rahane to some extent, and then Wriddhiman Saha down the order, and Jadeja also. But I think it's as a leader that you want a person. So I think what the team management has to look at is how important is this player to your team in an all-round sense, not just in just as a batsman sense. So if his presence on the field is going to lift your team up, even if it's 50% fit, 60% fit, 70% fit, is his presence then going to be the one that is going to energize the team? Then you got to play him. You got to convince him that yes, I think we want you as 50%, 60%, 70% fit. We still want you in the team. I remember way back in 1981 when Kapil was injured, the game in Melbourne, where Australia were overnight some 40 for 3, and they needed another 100 runs to score. We needed 7 wickets to get. And I said to Kapil, because I knew at that stage, Kapil had come on the 4th evening. But on the 5th morning, I went to him and I said that I think I'd like you to come for maybe an hour, because, an hour the match is going to be decided. And he said, yes, he'll take a painkiller. He took a painkiller, came, took 5 wickets, and the rest is history. So I think the fact that he was not 100% didn't mean that I didn't want him to be on the field. But I knew his value to the team was greater than, even if he was 50%. I think that is what the team management will have to look at. Virat personally would want to go in as 100% fit player, because that's what he would expect of any other player in the team. He would not want another player in the team to hide an injury and then suddenly be found out, because it's a 5-day test. So Virat himself personally would maybe want to be 100%. But if the team feels that he's a must for this deciding game, then they're going to convince him, look, you might be 30, 40, whatever percent fit, we want you in the 11.
Right, that is of course a very important aspect that you're talking about, sir, the leadership angle. How important is it to have Virat Kohli out on the field, not just as a batsman, but as a captain, as a leader? Another way of looking at it, sir, would be that if Virat does not play, does it then make things somewhat easier for the Aussie camp? Even if it's only in the aggression department, does it make it somewhat easier for them to go out and play, knowing that with someone like Virat is not there on the field?
Well, not particularly, as we've seen, with the way the others have responded. I think Virat not being there will be clearly a challenge for the Indians, and maybe the Australians might feel, yeah, okay, there's that's one big hurdle out of the way, but the Australians know that the Indians for this particular game are going to come all guns firing, because both teams know this is the deciding thing. They have been, going hammer and tongs at each other for the last 3 test matches. Very exciting test matches. Wonderful cricket that we saw. And they know that they've got to deliver this one final effort for 5 days. And so I think despite the fact that Virat might not play, I don't think the Indians will be too disadvantaged, because they have the ability to regroup and pick themselves up.
Right. If Virat does not play, hypothetically speaking, sir, then of course Ajinkya Rahane steps in as the stand-in captain, being the vice captain of the team. Now, there was a period of play in the Ranchi Test when Virat did not take the field because he was injured and Rahane was calling the shots in the middle. Going by what we saw there, would you say that Rahane will have it in him to not make anyone miss Virat if at all Virat doesn't play?
Yes, I think Rahane is a different style. Rahane is a much more quieter style, slightly unobtrusive kind of style. Virat is a more aggressive, in-your-face kind of style. But Rahane showed a good, sense of what was going on. He showed a good awareness of what bowling changes to make, not to overbowl some bowlers. He was handicapped to a great extent by the fact that India went in with just 4 bowlers, and the 5th bowler was hardly ever used. So I think that might be a bit of a problem. That is something that they'll have to think about as well, their combination for the game tomorrow. But Rahane didn't do badly at all as the leader when Virat was off the field in that Ranchi Test.
Right. Would you also say, sir, that this is perhaps the perfect way to go into the final test of the home season and, of course, of this particular series as well, with it being locked at 1-1 and after us having seen some really good cricket being played?
Now, I would rather go into the final test of the series 3-0 off. So, I definitely would want to, if I was playing and if I was a captain, I wouldn't want to go into the final test of the series with the series undecided. I would want to, in a home series particularly, I would want to go into the final test with the series already in my pocket and looking to wrap the final test as well.
Who do you think has the mental edge currently, sir, with the series locked at 1-1, one last test to play? Who do you think has the mental edge?
I think both teams really. I mean, I don't see there being that much of a gap at the moment. I think the Australians recovered brilliantly through Sean Marsh and Peter Handscomb. They played really, really well. I thought once Steve Smith was out just before lunch on the last day at Ranchi that the Australians will crumble. And that is where I think Peter Handscomb, who had been impressive in the earlier test matches without actually going on to make a major score, the way he batted, and Sean Marsh, who had a good record in the subcontinent scoring runs in Sri Lanka, them coming good certainly will have lifted the Australian spirits considerably, because what they showed was that the Australian batting is not dependent on the captain and the vice captain. They're not only on Steve Smith and David Warner, but there are others also who can take care of things when there is a bit of trouble.
Right, one final question, sir, just about a minute left. What kind of changes do you expect the Indian team to make to its playing 11 if we, of course, have a traditional Dharamshala pitch on offer?
I'd like to see maybe a Mohammad Shami if he's fit, if the team management thinks that he can come in and bowl 20 overs in the day. I'd like to pick him in the team because, you know, he gives it that little thrust that despite the fact that Ishant Sharma and Umesh Yadav have bowled quite well in the series so far, they're just that little bit tired. I think a fresher Mohammad Shami can give you those initial breakthroughs, which makes it easier for then Ashwin and Jadeja, and even for the bowlers at the other end, Umesh and Ishant. So maybe go in with that old combination, 5 batsmen, 5 bowlers.